Tough loss for the blue and gold tonight as they drop a tough one. Yeah, they drop a tough one to the Toronto Argonauts. Welcome inside Game Day After Dark. This is Bonfire Sports, and I apologize for the confusion. If some of you were tuned into Game Day Winnipeg, our pregame show that we do live the day before the game, every game, myself and Chris Walby, I shared that I wasn't able to cover the Bombers game today because of the Jets and my job with NHL.com, and that there wouldn't be a postgame show. I'm sorry. I made arrangements. I forgot I made arrangements, and here we are. But inevitably, not the result we've had for the past 2 months plus for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. They drop a tough one tonight to the Toronto Argonauts. Again, a hard-fought game between these two teams, a single-score result between these two teams as Winnipeg's 8-game winning streak comes to an end and book-ended by the Argos as this winning streak began following a 16-14 loss all the way back on July 27th. That game went to overtime in Toronto. This game, 14-11. The Argos come away with a victory against the Bombers. And while Winnipeg doesn't lock up first place in the West Division because they needed a win or a tie, now the Saskatchewan Roughriders play BC tomorrow in Regina. And if Saskatchewan loses or ties, Winnipeg then would win the West Division and host the West Final, that being on Saturday, November 9th. So Winnipeg's magic number remains at 0.5. It would be a magic number of 1 if they needed a win or a Saskatchewan loss. Well, they do, but they also could get away with a tie or a Saskatchewan tie. So it's kind of a magic number of 0.5. Either way, it's not going to happen tonight. It could happen tomorrow with that doubleheader on TSN, Edmonton at Calgary, BC at Sask. 6 o'clock Central Time. That game kicks off between the Green Riders and the Lions to see who might finish second, who might even finish first. Don't know. It'll be interesting. Great to see everybody in the live chat. Love to see it. Schnitzy will join us. We've got tons of video highlights of this game. The good, the bad, the ugly, the otherwise. Some great performances from the Blue Bombers tonight. Some not so great performances from a couple of their players. I'm already seeing people in the live chat talk about that. Yeah, we'll talk about Sergio Castillo. We'll talk about the Blue Bombers short yardage game. We'll talk about the defense. We'll talk about the offense. The good, the bad, and the ugly of that. I want to start with this, though. Okay? I want to start with this. Listen. The final plays of the game where Winnipeg was trying to move into field position, okay? These final plays of the game, Zach Collaros showed that he is one of the biggest gamers in pro football. This guy gets sacked with $1:20 left in the game, and I'll skip ahead. Okay. Flo, as they call him, Flarin Orlamade, formerly the Calgary Stampeders, now with this ferocious Toronto Argonauts pass rush, takes Collaros down. Next play. Watch what Winnipeg's quarterback does. Drops back, has time, escapes the pocket, skips over Eric Lofton, down the sideline, reaching for the first down. And unless you missed the game, you know what happened. There was review. Play on the field was upheld. It was a turnover on downs. But the way Zach Collaros played tonight, the way that he put his body on the line, the way that he took off with the football when he needed to, the way he took those sacks, peeled himself up off the turf. This dude is nails. I understand. Objectively, I understand exactly why Mike O'Shea says There is no other quarterback in the CFL that he would rather have leading his team. This guy is nails. Zach Collaros did things tonight that impressed me so much, and I'm sure it impressed you. He made great throws, great decisions, took pressure, still moved the offense. And while people will say the Bombers' offense didn't do enough tonight to win, while that may be true on the whole, nobody should be hanging this on number 8. Zach Collaros played his heart out tonight. And nobody called me. Nobody said, hey, maybe you should take it easy on the court. That didn't happen. This is just what I saw in watching this game all by myself, the whole game. Okay? It's incredible what this guy showed tonight. Now, we'll look at the numbers. We'll take a look at some of the throws. We'll take a look at some of the sacks. But this is what I'll show you. As far as his performance, I don't know what more you would want from your quarterback. Zach Collaros tonight, 23 of 30 passing, 77%, 250 yards, no touchdowns, threw a pick, quarterback efficiency rating of 86.7. Brady Oliveira, still a pretty healthy 5.3 yards per carry, definitely down from his usual MOP level of 6+. 12 carries for 64 yards, had one run of 10+. But there's Collaros, 44 yards rushing, taken off 5 times, including a great one for 17 yards. We'll take a look at a little bit later. Kenny Lawler, Ontario Wilson, Nick Dembski were all excellent tonight. Dembski's numbers maybe don't jump off the charts, but he had some key catches, including a second down conversion. Wilson caught everything thrown his way, 33 yards and a second down conversion. Kenny Lawler, man, he has elevated his game over the last month. 6 catches on 7 targets tonight, 108 yards, 3 second down conversions. Incredible. He was outstanding. But it was the Argos defense that really came to play. And before we take a look at some of those and we get into our Bonfire Burning Point, our Walby's Warrior, our Westwood Wide to the right, our Happy Honker, and of course our game balls, Schnitzy, will join us in just a minute. Before we get into all that, let's talk about the Chad Kelly-led offense. He's dangerous with his legs. No, he didn't have as many rushing yards as, say, Zach Collaros did, but he took off 9 times. He was their leading rusher as far as touches. Kadeem Carey, I mean, that long run of 21 early in the game definitely boosted his yards per carry average. But beyond that, you take away that 21-yard run early in the game, what did he do? 4 carries for 17 yards. But Kelly, while throwing for 203 and going 70% passing, they picked up those second downs when they needed to and did enough to capitalize on the field position when they had it. Where should we start? I mean, I think the most predominant thing in this game was the pass rush on Zach Collaros. It was incredible. Do you want to hang it on the Bombers' offensive line? I mean, you could, but this Argos defense leads the league in sacks, leads the league in tackles for loss, and they showed it. They're athletic. They are fast. And they do a lot of creative things. Wynton McManus may be the best middle linebacker in the CFL today. The way they got to the quarterback with Jake Serezna and Derek Parrish, Milton and Brinkman came away with sacks. Flo Ormalade had 2 sacks. Holly had a sack. Those guys lead the league for a reason. We'll take a look at it. Let's take a look at it right now. What do you say? Just trying to find it here. What do you guys think? Hit me up in the live chat right now and let me know what you think the biggest issue for the Blue Bombers tonight was in that 14-11 loss to the Argos. I would love to hear from you. Old friend, the Bomber. Haven't been called that in 25 years. Good to see you. Everybody watching live, Instagram live, what's going on? YouTube live, of course, Facebook, Twitter, X, whatever you call it. Did you see Mark Scheifele tonight? Looked pretty good in the third period. Potted a couple. Winnipeg's offensive line had its troubles. Here is in the first quarter where the Argos were able to find pressure and take down Zach Collaros. That pocket just squeezed in on the Bombers quarterback. Just squeezed in on him. That was 𝘎𝙤𝙤𝙧𝙨's first. Taking another look at it. And you'll see here, the pressure really comes from everywhere. Serezna on the right, 𝘎𝙤𝙤𝙧𝙨 on the left, Brinkman in the middle, Holly in the middle, and they take him down. The next play, Winnipeg's offensive line trying to convert 2nd and 18 after a loss of 8. Rushing 3. And here's Jake Serezna taking him down near the line of scrimmage. Not a tackle for loss, but a pickup of only a couple. That won't do it. Winnipeg's, here we go, guys. Now we're back. How you doing? This was a tough moment in the game where Winnipeg's offense, midway through the first quarter, took advantage of a Janarian Grant fumble. I thought Winnipeg's special teams were really, really good tonight. Really, really good. Here is the Janarian Grant fumble on the punt return. Winnipeg did a great job. There's Brian Cole with the strip and the recovery. Brian Cole stepping in for the injured Michael Ayers and the injured Kyrie Wilson. There's a reason he's, been a stalwart on this team, special teams and defense for a long time. He made great plays on defense tonight. I think we got one we can take a look at a little bit later. But this one, setting Winnipeg up for outstanding field position. However, Winnipeg was not able to take advantage. This was 1st and goal from the 9, and they get right to the doorstep. Next play. 2nd and goal from the 2. How about that for a name? 𝘎𝙥𝙤𝙧𝙨. Yes, please. What a football name. What a name. Mr. Darkangelo. 2nd and goal from the 2. Bringing in Terry Wilson. They maybe pick up a yard. And it's early in the game. They're down 7-0. And so it's decision time for these two gentlemen. Offensive coordinator Buck Pierce and head coach Mike O'Shea. And they keep Terry Wilson in. They run a double motion to a tight end set with Dembski in motion, kicking out to the left. And the Argos defense stuffs them. Goal line defense tonight for both of these teams was really, really good. But this is the first turnover on downs. And here's a good look at it from our friends at TSN. They just stood him up. Really, really good play where Winnipeg's offense couldn't do enough. Wilson in short yardage. No good, says Mischievous Wolf. I don't know. I think the Argos were very good in short yardage. I think the Argos defense is outstanding. Sometimes a team has your number, you know, could very well be that case as well. However, it really came down to, you know, there were moments where Winnipeg was able to do good things on offense, including on the ground. Here's a run from Brady in the first quarter. I'll pull that back. This was a gain of 26, flipped the field, set Winnipeg up on the Argos 40. It wasn't all bad. And I'm not here to soften the blow. You know, I'm not here to soften the blow. Winnipeg's offense did very good things, but this was a hard fought game. This was tooth and nail, scratching and clawing the whole way, just like the Grey Cup a couple years ago between these two clubs, just like July 27th in Winnipeg's 16-14 loss in overtime in Toronto to the Argos. Let's bring in the man. Here he is, Zach Schnitzer in the house. Schnitzy, how are you? How you feeling? I know you were down at the stadium today. How did it go?
Oh man, DB,
Tough one tonight.
that's a gut punch, buddy. That is an absolute gut punch. Yeah, I mean, yeah,
this was a
I don't know what
hard-fought
else to
game.
say.
This game was close throughout. I know Bombers fans, especially with the taste of victory really swishing around their mouths for the last 2.5 months, with how the season started, with how it's going right now. It's easy to just kind of point blame at this Blue Bombers team and say, well, this wasn't good enough and that wasn't good enough and the other wasn't good enough. You know what also what was good enough? The Argos. They played a very, very good football game in my eyes. How did you see it?
Honestly, Darren, like, yeah, the story, like, everyone's gonna talk about Castillo missing a 42-yarder, which a professional cooker, maybe it's a Freudian slip there. A professional kicker, you can't miss 42-yarders. You just can't. I'm sorry, you just can't. And then he doinks it at 48 yards. Well, that one's a little more excusable. But I don't even want to talk about Castillo, right? Because yes, if he makes one of those two, the Bombers likely win the game. But the story of this game to me, Darren, was the Bombers O-line getting roasted for 6 sacks, including an absolute killer, which left the Bombers 3rd and 17. That was I believe the 6th sack of the game, Darren, that they gave up. Now I'm not saying it's all in the O-line, right? Only Buck Pierce knows whose fault those 6 sacks were. But I think at least half of them, it was sloppy play by the O-line, and that's a very good D-line in Toronto.
Yeah.
Arimolade, Serezna, Hawley, like you name it. They had
Derek Parrish.
To me, that was the story of the game, was the O-line not being able to protect Zach. I thought Buck called a better game in the second half, and they made some adjustments, and the Bombers were able to move the ball. But then it was like even when the Bombers had a chance, it was turnovers. It was deep in the third quarter. Zach fumbles, and then at the beginning of the game, Darren, they get stuffed on 3rd and 1 on the goal line. The Bombers. They just shot themselves in the foot. You know, the defense kept giving them the ball back. They had 2 turnovers in the first quarter and 4 points to show for it. It just wasn't good enough, and so it's a really disappointing loss. And I guess I'll circle back to Castillo, because when your team doesn't play well enough to win, sometimes it's the special teams that can flip it, right? And Brian Cole did enough on special teams to flip it. He caused that Janarian Grant fumble.
Yeah,
But
took a look at that a minute ago.
Castillo misses those 2 field goals, and that's the game. And in a tight game like that, your kicker has to make a 42-yarder. I'm sorry, that's it. You just cannot miss 42-yard field. You don't see Paredes miss those. You don't see Sean White miss
Yes, they
those.
do.
Not for
Yes, you do.
when.
Yes,
I honestly
yes, you
would
do.
bet you
You
that if
see
I
every
looked at
kicker miss makeable
a
kick.
42-yarder, I haven't seen White miss one of those. Paredes, I haven't seen Liram Hajrullahu miss one.
Yep.
It's just
Those guys
it's
aren't
not
perfect.
I'm not saying you have to be perfect, Darrin, but within 45
If you're
yards,
gonna
that
make
should be
if you're
absolutely
gonna make a
automatic.
60-yarder, you're gonna miss a 40-yarder.
Well, I would rather, I would argue that the 42-yarder would have been more important than the 60-yarder. That's
Well,
all,
in this case, yes.
you can't miss 42-yard field goals in tight games like that. You just can't. And I love Sergio.
Oh,
But you can't.
I know you do.
But you can't miss those.
Here's the Collaros fumble in the third quarter. And this may be the bonfire burning point. The moment in the game that kind of turned the tides. I understand it's still early and Winnipeg got way back into this game, bringing it to 13-11. But they had great field position when this happened. He had 7 straight completions at this point, as you just saw on the screen. And it was just a tough play that Toronto was able to capitalize on. The turnovers were a problem tonight. I'm surprised the Argos didn't capitalize following this, because they got a field flipping play on like the next play. Here, I'll pull it over here.
Yeah.
This was Mackay Polk and a 39-yard catch. Huge. Flipped the field, but they still could not come away with points because of this. Here's Winnipeg's defense. Okay. Cameron Dukes comes in. I mean, we saw Chad Kelly. We saw Cameron Dukes. We saw a little bit of everybody tonight in the short yardage for the Argos. But Winnipeg, this was 2nd and goal. And then I'll skip ahead. Well, here's 2nd and goal again. Great job from the front. And there's Evan Holm coming in off the edge. I love seeing DBs do that. Love seeing DBs do that in the short yardage. Evan Holm, underrated player, man. Winnipeg's got so many good defensive backs. And here it is, 3rd and goal from the 1. 𝘎𝙤𝙤𝙧𝙯 with a monster play. And I know it is a massive humanity here, right? An absolute massive humanity. But watch the replay on the edge. Like there's Cam Dukes and then there's Chad Kelly. Watch this. 𝘎𝙤𝙧𝙯 is the last man. He's on the far right. He's got his hands on the goalpost right there. He's got his left hand on the goalpost. There's 𝘎𝙤𝙧𝙯. Boom. Absolutely stops Chad Kelly in his tracks. And look at that. Is the ball past the goal line?
Looks like it.
I mean, kind of looks like it.
Kind of does look like it.
Right? But them's the breaks. Great play. The official was right there. Of course, the official is actually down the line. You see how the official is a little bit to the left of the line? He's got a better view of that actual plane right there, right? The left side of that goal line. So maybe the camera is deception. I'm not sure. Ooh, that's close. You could argue it's in. But hey, them's the breaks. Game of inches, game of centimeters. That was my bonfire burning point. The turnover with Winnipeg kind of in the score zone, flirting with the red zone, and Collaros fumbling.
Yeah. I don't know with my burning point there. There's so many plays in this close of a game where you can call it the burning point. But for me, just emotionally, in terms of momentum, the Bombers were down 13-4. They, in some ways, had no business being in that game. And Sergio lines up a 48-yarder, and if they hit it, it's a one-score game. And he hits it off the poist. He hits it off the poist. It's a doink. And you could argue that was the burning point. You could argue that the Zach Collaros fumble, I believe it was on like the 25-yard line of Toronto that you just showed, deep in Argo territory, at least could have settled for a field goal there. That could have been the burning point. But just emotionally, when Castillo doinked the 48-yarder in a close game like that, where the Bombers, they kept, they kept taking their head out of the sand, and they had a chance, and then just to be cut down again, I thought Sergio really let them down tonight, and unfortunately, that's my burning point.
Okay, fair enough. Would love to continue to hear from people in the live chat. Hit that thumbs up while you're at it. But what was your bonfire burning point? Here were the stats through 3 quarters. Okay. Courtesy of TSN. Oops. Here we go. Pardon me. Pretty even. Net yards. I mean, 268 to 195 looks like a huge gap, but that's 268 to 200, right? It's this number. It's this number right here. 6 quarterback sacks. Can you guys see that? 6 quarterback sacks. And what were the turnover numbers tonight? Because Winnipeg's turnovers killed them. They lost the turnover battle 4-2. And it seems a lot worse than that. Both teams lost fumbles. Of course, Janarian Grant, Winnipeg unable to capitalize points on that. Collaros, Toronto unable to capitalize points on that. How about that? So really the name of the game in this game, Schnitzy, was defense. Walby's Warrior, I'm giving it to one guy who I was just incredibly impressed with tonight. He was tough. He was resolute. He was critical in keeping Winnipeg in the game. And he was crafty. Zach Collaros is my Walby Warrior tonight. Look at this flip pass to Brady Oliveira. Incredible play. With the pressure coming. All of that Argos pressure. And Collaros with the little side flip. The little kind of basketball pass in the paint. Huge pump fake and then just a little flip. A little flip to the big guy down low so you can dunk it. I was so enamored with that play. Collaros ran with the ball, took the hits, kept getting up, and made smart plays like that right there. Smart plays. That was a forward pass, so he did get a completion out of that. Some of the throws he made to Nick Dembski. Here's one, if we can look at it quickly. Rips darts, and not the kind at the smoking doors in high school. Ripping darts. This throw from Collaros was off the charts. An absolute rope to Nick Dembski. He was so good. And then there were moments like this too. Forgive the screen squirreliness, everybody. But when the pressure came and the pocket collapsed, you see Zach Collaros do things that you don't normally see him do. He ran 5 times tonight. He ran for 44 yards. He did.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I wish he had run for 45, because if he runs for 45, they win the game.
Oh.
It's true, Darrin. Come on, what do you mean, oh? If he converts 40, that third and 17.
He did everything he could to get that 44.
Oh, and I'm not blaming him. I'm just saying.
It sounded like you were.
No, I was not blaming him.
If he ran for 45, they win the game. It's like, whoa.
No, 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 no. I'm not blaming him. I actually think it's amazing that he got that close. He was inches away.
Yep.
That's how close this game was, Darren.
Yep.
Inches
Yep.
away
Less than.
from converting on 3rd and 17.
But we
The
had
Argos had
goal line stops. We had a doink. We had missed
yeah.
field goal. We had the chains come out, and the Argos had a turnover on downs, a couple turnovers on downs. Is that right? They had the other one too, where they came up short. Yeah, Dukes was stuffed in short yardage. I got it here. Inches, absolute inches.
So what did you go to that? Did you show the replay on that spot? Did you show the video highlight on that spot?
On
On the
Collaros
third
or
and
this one?
yeah, on the 3rd and 17.
Sorry, Collaros?
No, when he ran on 3rd and 17 at the end of the game where he ran
Collaros,
you
yes.
showed it, eh?
Yeah. Yeah. This was the turnover on downs Winnipeg had. I did show it. Here, I'll pull it up again here. This was him getting sacked. And then the next play. Before you joined us, nails. Zach Collaros is nails. And to reiterate myself, Schnitzy, I see objectively why Mike O'Shea says there is no other quarterback he'd rather have lead his team. Zach Collaros put it all on the line tonight. He was awesome. Beyond Walby's Warrior. Beyond. He was
What
so
did you
good.
think of the spot?
Well, it's a tough spot. They showed 15 replays, and we're getting a good look at them all here. It's tough. I don't have an opinion on it because it's very hard to determine. That might be our best look there. So there's the stick. It's at the 46. Okay. If I pull that back. So there's the first down marker. Okay. It is not lifted off the ground yet. So that's the 46. It's not the 47. It's the 46. Oops. Pardon me. Let me see here. It's at the 46-yard line. Just past the 46. And Collaros running is that he did not step out of bounds. You can see it clear as day there. I hope you folks can. Let's see if I can inch this forward. Oh, I can. How about that? So Collaros is in bounds. The ball is in bounds. Because look at those white stripes of the ball. That's well in bounds, at least from my perspective, the way I see it. You need overwhelming evidence to overturn the ruling on the field. It's like there is out of bounds. It's close.
And it doesn't
at 46. And then when he hits the turf here, he's at the 47. He's about a yard past the first down marker.
But the ball is out of bounds before the 46. I was sitting next to a ref, like not a CFL ref, but a ref who does fairly high level football, and he was saying it doesn't matter where the foot was; it matters where the ball is. And if the ball is out of bounds, if the ball is out of bounds before the 46, and he thought it was a good spot, and he thought. It looked like from my vantage point, he had it by like a yard because his foot was in bounds, but the ball wasn't in bounds. And like you said, Darren, like you're not going to be able to overturn that very easily, right? Like you'd have to have incontrovertible evidence, clear and obvious, right? And I don't blame the command center there. I mean, the ref on the field called it, and it's going to be hard to get clear and obvious there.
So here's the spot and the measure.
I mean, that's how close this game was, Darren. Mm-hmm. If they get that first down, it's game over. The Bombers milk the clock and kick a field goal to win it. That's how close this game was.
So hang on a second. Is this the 46? Is this the 46? Here, let me get rid of this
No,
logo.
I think that's the 45.
I think this is the 45 next to the pink spats here. Is that where it is? Yeah. It's close.
Yeah, very close.
For Mike O'Shea to say I'm challenging it, they're wrong. That's what he was shown right here saying. He said, "Go ahead. They're wrong. They're wrong." You could hear it on the broadcast. You need some pretty good evidence to get them to move the sticks. Let me go back to the beginning of the play. Let's go all the way back. Oh, yeah. Okay. So it's the 48, right? This is the 50.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you're never going to be able to tell from that angle.
No.
So I was mistaken with my first comment here when they showed it with the sticks. Forgive me, folks. This is the 48. This is the 50. So this is close to the 48. I was mistaken from my perspective, for sure. But where does he step out of bounds? Or where does he step on the line? So he's stepping on the 51, right? Just inside the 51 with his left foot. And reaching a yard or two. I mean, they gave him a pretty good spot. They gave him a pretty good spot, in my opinion. Do you got a Wallabies Warrior, Schnitzy?
Well, my Wallabies Warrior was actually going to be Collaros as well, but I had a close second.
Okay.
And I was going to give it to Collaros, in part because of those 44 yards of rushing. Like it was something with that O-line not being able to protect him. She had to kind of run for his life, and I thought he did an admirable job. I thought he really picked it up in the second half. He had a really good completion percentage. It was 23 of 30, but it was actually 23 of 29 because that last pass was a Hail Mary and it was an interception. And you can't really count that, right? 23 of 29 is excellent. He had 249 yards, essentially no picks. I thought he was a warrior. I really did. But if I had to give it to someone else, it would actually be Brian Cole. I thought Brian Cole was really effective. He had 5 tackles. He had 2 tackles for a loss. He absolutely stuffed the Argos. I don't know which one it was, but he stuffed them at the line of scrimmage, or actually behind the line of scrimmage on one play. He caused the fumble on Janarian Grant in the first quarter, Darrin, which was an absolutely massive play, and recovered the same fumble. So I thought he was all over the field. And I know the Bombers don't like to talk about backups, but he is a backup. He's not a starting will linebacker. That's Kyrie Wilson. But I thought, there's a nice open field tackle by Brian Cole. He
This
had
is on
a
second
really
and 10. This is a great play. And
yeah,
you can watch Brian Cole. Watch him here. He's in the top right of your screen. Okay, 41. He's between the Dietrich Nichols and Celestin Haba. There he is, right on top of the Princess word mark. So he's watching the outside receiver. Just great eyes.
Yeah.
Just great eyes. Makes a good read. Makes a sharp cut. And Kadeem Carey is frustrated, right? Because that is a huge tackle on second and 10. Huge
Absolutely.
tackle.
And it was one of the reasons. Brian Cole was one of the reasons. You throw in Tony Jones there. Tony Jones had a tough missed tackle at the beginning of the game, but he had nine tackles. I mean, Tony Jones was all 2 pass knockdowns. Like, this defense held the Argos to 14 points. You don't lose in the CFL if you give up 14 points. One of those was a punt single at the end of the game. So essentially 13 points they gave up to this Argos offense. Chad Kelly is a very dynamic quarterback. He can run. He probably has the strongest arm in the league.
Yep. Yeah,
and they really held the Argos in check. They gave up the early touchdown, but other than that, my goodness, this game kind of reminded me. It was kind of a regression to the beginning of the year, Darren, where the defense was keeping them in games, and the offense couldn't click well enough, and they were finding ways to lose. I mean, it's interesting and kind of ironic that the Bombers' 8-game win streak is bookended by devastating losses to the Argos.
Yeah.
16-14. I'm not sure when that was. Was that in July? July 27th. July 27th, right? 16-14 loss to the Argos. And then
that
now
was the game they lost in overtime in Toronto, and they shot themselves in the foot. Winnipeg.
They fumbled 5 times.
Over.
Yeah.
And you could almost you could classify, you could characterize this game the same.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I think it's a very similar game. In fact, Castillo missed a 41-yarder in overtime in that game, which basically gifted the Argos the game there, and he misses a makeable one here. So it's kind of sad that they're bookended by losses to the Argos. And as a fan, I'll say this: this is the most subjective and non-objective I could be. I hate the Argos. Ever since they beat us in the Grey Cup a couple of years ago, buddy. Yeah. And then, of course, I won't get into it here. Well, I'll get into it a little bit. The whole Chad Kelly situation. I tried to start a chant, no means no. It gained some traction, Darren. Let me just say this.
Mm-hmm.
If I sexually harassed someone at my workplace and was found to be guilty of that, I'd be fired. And here Chad Kelly is still playing in our league.
You're not a starting quarterback in pro football.
I don't care. It's a job. It's a job, and he crossed the line.
I absolutely agree with you. However, this is not the 15th instance of this happening. There are instances where there was domestic violence for a pro football player, and they kept their job.
Yeah, okay? And I don't agree with that.
No kidding. But
even if they were on the Bombers, and I'm so sick of people on social media saying, "Oh, if he was a Bombers starting quarterback, and you wouldn't be whining." I'm like, absolutely, I would. But that player wouldn't even be on the Bombers. That player wouldn't. If the Bombers knew, let's say Zach Collaros had a history like Chad Kelly did, he wouldn't even get in the building, Darren. He wouldn't even be in the building.
I want you to put a name to a hypothetical. I don't think that's fair.
I think if the brain trust, the Canadian Mafia, knew about a history like that, that guy wouldn't even get in the building.
Hey,
he wouldn't be on the team.
There's a member of this Blue Bombers team that was caught drinking and driving.
He was caught in a parked car. Yeah, he had been drinking. It's horrible. Thank God he didn't hurt anybody.
He was drinking and driving.
It's a little bit.
You're putting people's lives in danger.
Well, we don't know that he was driving. We know that he was in his car and he was drunk with Kenny Lawler. What we do know is Chad Kelly sexually harassed and got a woman fired, and the Argos brain trust did absolutely nothing and covered it up. So
I do not like the way the Argos handled it.
No, it's brutal. And pinball is it's so sad because pinball, up until this point, Darren, has been, you could say, like the poster boy of the CFL. Just an amazing energy and success, and the number of hats he's worn. I was a huge fan of pinball, and unfortunately, this happened. Aside from that, yeah, I hate the Argos, but this didn't help. This didn't help, buddy.
Yeah.
Oh man, it just
Uh,
sticks in my craw, buddy.
can I just say this? I look, I agree with you. And that said, I would love to see a Bombers Argos Grey Cup. I would love
Oh
to
man.
see it.
Well, it could happen.
Absolutely, it could
I
happen.
still I still think the Bombers will be in the Grey Cup.
I still think the Bombers will be in the Grey Cup too. And
I
Bonfire Sports is going to be there. Schnitzy, you won't be there, but you will be with me in spirit.
hey,
I will be there all week long. I'm going Tuesday to Tuesday. I'm going early. I'm staying late.
hey, maybe I will. Maybe I'll fly in on Saturday because I don't have any holidays left. But if the Bombers are in it, I might reconsider. I might have to fly in Saturday,
I'm going to
scalp a
sleep in my
ticket.
bathtub.
Yes, full of ice cubes. Keep me cool.
Chad Kelly can do things no
Yeah,
other quarterback in this league can do.
that is fair. As much as I hate the guy, he is very talented, and the way he
Yep.
extends plays is extremely difficult to defend, right?
Yep. And I mean, he had the Blue Bombers defense hands full. I thought Winnipeg's defense played incredible tonight. There's Brian Cole
Yeah,
again, right
yeah.
there, right?
They they kept the Argos to 14 points.
Yeah.
That's good defense.
And here's another thing. I'll pull this up. Kadeem Carey is a 1,000-yard rusher. He ended up getting nicked up in this game and wasn't able to return, or was questionable to return. But early in the game, I cut this clip. He tore off a 21-yard run, just gashed
Yeah.
Winnipeg's defense, just found a seam as wide as a ruler, as wide as a desk ruler, and then just took advantage of it. Great look on the back end cam here. And that's all he did. That's all he
Yeah.
did. That was the rest of the game. What we saw there right on the next play. Winnipeg's run defense was very good. They contained Chad Kelly, I thought, quite well. And they made a lot of really, really good plays. I showed them a little earlier while we were talking, Brian Cole, Evan Holm, Tyrell Ford, a huge, this play here from the man playing in place of the injured Adam Bighill. Tony Jones, man. He made great tackles. He made this pass knockdown was so good. I talk about eyes and guys having good eyes. Here's Tony Jones right in the middle. Great job by TSN to pump up the highlight here. That's a huge play. A huge play. I think that was 1st and 10. No, second. No,
Yeah, it's 1st and 10. Yeah.
Yeah. Just a Tony Jones, I'll say I think Tony Jones has saved this Blue Bombers defense from catastrophe. Everyone else is playing incredibly well, but to have a middle linebacker that is making plays like that, making tackles, quarterbacking the defense like that, that's damn good football. He is awesome. Have a day, as Matt Dunnigan would say. Have a day, young man.
Yeah, no, Tony Jones has filled in admirably for Big E, and sometimes seems like he's channeling a younger Adam Bighill, right, Darren? Like how physical he is, how versatile, how fast he is, how he reads the opposing offense.
It's
Right?
funny you say that. It is super funny you say that because they said you were at the game, so you didn't watch the broadcast. But on the broadcast, they said that Tony Jones told them that that's exactly what he's trying to do: embody a younger Adam Bighill.
Is that right? Eh?
Yeah.
Well, that's how good of an analyst I am, Darren. You and me should be on TSN, right?
Right. It's almost like
You
one
and
of us
me.
was.
Well, that's wide to the right there that they shut this radio station down.
How about
Yeah.
Zach Collaros in on
I
short
know, on the
yardage?
QB sneak. They should have had him on the goal line, goal to go in the first quarter, Darren. Screw
Right.
Terry Wilson. Of
Yes,
course,
of
I'm the one
course.
who said Terry Wilson was outproducing Chris Strebler, and then, that came to bite me, didn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Um, do you have a Westwood wide to the right, or did you already kind of cover that with the Chad Kelly stuff? I think you
Yeah. I
did.
mean, that would be my big wide to the right, would
Yep.
be that Chad Kelly is still even playing in this game. So,
Uh,
yeah.
late in the game, Bombers rookie receiver 𝘎𝙤𝙤𝙧𝙨 was penalized for objectionable conduct. And here's Mike O'Shea after realizing what had happened. 𝘎𝙤𝙤𝙧𝙨 sprayed water on the official.
Yeah.
Here's Ben Major laying it out. Don't have audio on it, but TSN shows it. I'm still looking for it. If you're in the live chat and you know where it happened, let me know. Where is it here? Yeah, this is what this is what TSN showed. Where is there water being sprayed? I'm not saying it didn't happen. I just can't see it. So if you're in the live chat and you know where it went down, let me know. So I see an official here. You guys can see the mouse on the screen. I see an official here. I see an official here. Is there an official in here? I don't think so.
And the flag because I sit behind the bench, it came from the sideline.
Well, of course, as soon as you realize you've been sprayed with water, you throw the flag.
But
that's what TSN showed.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Townsend, what's with the purple O'Shea? It's pink, and it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. FW Randall says, thought it was Ontario Wilson. The penalty was levied to number 88, which is 𝘎𝙤𝙤𝙧𝙨.
Was it? Did they say it was 88?
This happened following the spot to on the Zach Collaros scramble to the 48.
Did they say it was 88 on the TV? Because on in the game they just said bench. They just said it was a bench penalty to the Bombers. So
I'm gonna see if I can find it here in the playlist. So here, let me make it bigger here. Maybe I can get a look. Whoa. Said Winnipeg penalty, objectionable conduct, 10 yards, and then the turnover on downs. It does not have a number. I thought they said 88 on the broadcast.
Oh, maybe they did.
Yeah. Yeah. Jeffrey, you need to color correct your television.
There were some hoodies that were purple, though. I'll give them that.
There is kind of like a lavender, right?
Yeah, there was some purple. There was some pink. I don't know which one it was.
I'm just giving Townsend the gears a little bit. Andrew gives Sergio the wide to the right for missing 4 field goals in 2 games against the Argos.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. Hit up the live chat. Would love to know your Walby Warrior, your Westward wide to the right, your Bonfire Burning Point. Scott Roger, saw you and Jake on the broadcast tonight. Oh, yes. Good to see you there. Mentions O'Shea and the coaches were wearing lavender. Indeed, they were. We need to get into our, forgive me, Schnitzy.
Happer Honker.
Pardon?
Happer Honker.
Happer Honker. Here's Jordan Younger wearing the black on black dark side defense Bombers pullover.
Ooh.
We were talking about drip last game. This is like an absolute Niagara Falls of drip.
Yeah. By the way, one of our listeners who I saw last weekend, she's single and was wondering if Jordan Younger was also single.
think he's
So I
married with
guess
kids.
she appreciates the drip. You think he's married? Because
I'm pretty
apparently,
sure.
I guess he's a hot commodity.
Yeah. Hockey Mom agrees with me. Walby's warrior is Zach Collaros for taking all those sacks and running like he did. Yeah, agreed. Agreed. A lot of criticism of Sergio Castillo. I totally understand that. This is a moment in the game I wanted to pull up. Did you remember this, Schnitzy? Oh wait, where did it go? Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Early in the game, it was so loud at the Madhouse tonight that Jake Thomas didn't hear the whistle. And there he is, kind of laying out Chad Kelly a bit there.
Yeah, I wondered what happened on that play, but yeah, you're probably right. He didn't hear the whistle.
Yeah. So he got penalized for this. Chad Kelly's like, WTF is going on? Yeah. Love the reaction from Jake. I'll give that my happy honker tonight. I thought that was
All
kind of
right,
funny.
well, my happy honker. I this is gonna sound self-aggrandizing, but I got to give it to myself because I was selected, Darren. You probably weren't there by that point,
Yep.
but I was the lucky fan to be selected to do the Bombers name scramble down at field level, my friend. And I had to unscramble 3 names within 30 seconds. And I did it within like 3 seconds because,
Boom. Because you're a
I'm just that
genius.
awesome. It was Stanley Bryant, Nick Dembski, and Kevin's Clusius.
Kevin's clear.
And instead of saying Clusius, I was like, Clusius.
Like my
And
precious.
yeah, exactly. And I got an ovation from the crowd, and it was a highlight. And I got a little prize pack. It was pretty fun. So
Nice.
I also got a picture with Captain Blue, and our friend Tina, also known as Bomber Woman, made it happen. So
Tina's a beauty. Big fan of
yeah,
hers.
Tina's great, and Tina also moonlights working for the Bombers on game day and gets the part of the entertainment, so gets
Mm-hmm.
people into those. Shout out to our listener Neil Anderson, who was also in the those big inflatable what are they, orbs that they run in? What are those things called?
Thanks, back to back blue. Yeah, I think so. I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
that's.
those big I don't know what they're called.
I think I know what you're
Those
talking
big
about, though.
clear inflatable balls that they do those races in. He was in one right after me. That
Oh,
was
okay.
fun.
Yep.
So yeah, shout out to Neil. I don't know who won that one, but anyway, that was fun. That was fun. Every year I seem to get selected to do one of these things. Maybe the
Well, it's because
someone in
you're
the
a.
sky is looking down. So
It's
what
because
did you think of this pass interference? Was this a good call, Darren?
I
I
I
didn't.
I liked it.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say you're a super fan, Schnitzy. Of course you're gonna get. Of course you're gonna get picked for all those. Just wanted to thank back to back blue once again for the super chat. $6.99.
Nice. Thanks,
All of the
back to back blue.
teams. Back to back blue says all of the teams who won the cup since 2019 had 11 regular season wins. Ooh.
Interesting.
So
Interesting.
Montreal, Toronto, Winnipeg, and Winnipeg.
And if we win again Montreal, then we'll have 11.
If Winnipeg wins on October
26.
26th. Yeah, the Bombers have a bye now, which I don't know. Schnitzy, it can kind of be a bit of a double-edged sword having that bad taste in your mouth and a 14-11 loss.
Well, we were arguing about this on the car ride home. My father-in-law said, it's kind of maybe the silver lining is that you don't want to be too fat and happy when you go into the playoffs on a win streak of, like, it would have been, I guess, 10 games if they went on a win streak. maybe you want to lose one and have a bad taste in your mouth, and maybe you learn more from a loss than a win, and it builds character. And that was his argument. And I think a lot of people would be looking for a silver lining there, Darren. I don't know what you think, but I don't know if the Bombers learn more from a win than a loss. I'm not sure about that, but it can definitely build adversity, right? Like
Build
adversity,
adversity, build
yeah,
character,
build character. Yeah, not
build
build
adversity.
adversity.
Like, I think I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Like,
Not build adversity. Not that's
yeah,
adversity reveals character. They say that,
yes,
right? It doesn't build character. So, what kind of character, or, what are they going to do if they face another defensive front like Toronto's again in the playoffs, right? Like,
hmm
if they play Saskatchewan, arguably they have a pretty decent defensive front. If they get to the Grey Cup, they're going to have to figure out a way to produce more
yep.
on offense.
Great question from Waiters. If BC wins tomorrow, and that would be a Saskatchewan loss or a Saskatchewan tie, Winnipeg would lock up first place and host the West Final. How much should Zach Collaros play in Montreal on October 26th?
Yeah.
Brandon Rodriguez. Haven't seen you in the live chat before. What's up, B-Rod? Can I call you B-Rod? Brandon Rodriguez says 1, maybe 2 quarters for Zach Collaros.
Yeah, I want to see BC win tomorrow first before I start to think about how much Zach is going to play.
Well, I'll say this. They have a bye. They then play Montreal, and then they probably have another bye.
Yeah.
I mean, it would take a perfect storm of Saskatchewan running the table and Winnipeg losing in Montreal. Let's take a look at Saskatchewan's upcoming schedule here. What do they got? So they got BC tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then week 20, they have a bye. Bum, bum, bum.
Who do they play next? I don't even remember.
They host Calgary. So this is a big, big game. Calgary, the final game of the regular season. Saskatchewan, 2 home games, home to BC. Like, it's going to be a tough game. If they can win, I mean, everything's on the line. And then we're not going to be having that conversation about Zach Collaros because the Bombers are going to need to win in Montreal.
Yeah, and we don't know if Montreal's going to be resting all their starters, because Montreal might be in the same boat too, where they've clinched first place, but they have a first round bye, Darren. They're not going to want to rest their guys for too many weeks in a row. You can get rusty that way. We've seen that with the Bombers, arguably. Hey, Jeffrey Townend, thank you, buddy.
$13 from Jeffrey Townsend. Quote, to honor the Riders' 2009 Grey Cup
Love
experience.
it, Jeffrey.
Yeah.
Comment of the night. I think we should have an award for best comment, because if we did, he'd win right there. Yeah. Hands down. Best comment of the night, Jeffrey.
Yeah. Lemon Straw's coming in hot. I like it. Mandy Moore fan 21. I can't get enough of that handle and picture. I think that's one of the Road Warriors or Legion of Doom. I'm not exactly sure there.
That's
I haven't
funny.
watched wrestling in a long time.
I agree with Mandy Moore. I think the last, arguably, Darren, the last 3 West Finals, Collaros has not played well. Yeah. The one in 21 against the Riders and the two previous in with BC. Mm-hmm. I think you play him. Like, O'Shea can say, oh, Zach doesn't need reps, this and that, but maybe he does. Maybe, because without them, he hasn't played that well. Maybe he needs the reps. Maybe that's just the kind of player he is.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you. I was just going to say, I think we know now. Mike O'Shea says things just to kind of shut everybody up.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about this. So I'm just going to say he doesn't need reps. He's fine.
Yeah.
But you do not want a quarterback having the game he did today, then a bye, then a rest game, then another bye,
Yeah, no.
and then the most important game of the year.
Yeah, no,
So
play. I'd say play the man. Play him and play a full game in Montreal regardless.
mark my words. I'm confident in saying this. There's no way in hell Zach Collaros wouldn't want all 4 quarters of that game in
Yeah.
Montreal. He
Yeah.
wants every snap. Every snap. And he should get it, in my opinion. He should get it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Shout out to Daniel in the live chat here, Darren. Met the man, the myth, the legend, Schnitzy tonight. We met, we were sort of ships passing in the night on the concourse, shook his hand. So thank you for listening, Daniel. And thanks for joining the live chat. Great to meet you, buddy. Appreciate your support, my friend. Always great to meet people. If you see me or Darren in the concourse or in the stands, come say hi.
100%.
We love you guys. This is why we do this.
Exactly.
To entertain. Are you not entertained?
No, we're not. We're not entertained. People want wins, and I get it.
Yeah, I was
Bombers lost
entertained though. This game, Darren, this game came to inches on a Zach Collaros 3rd and 17 scramble. As badly as the Bombers fumbled away this game, that he gets that and they kill the clock and kick a game-winning field goal. That's how close this game was.
Damn close.
Right?
Before we get into game balls, I want to draw attention to this. I met a new friend. His name is Doug Savage, and he wrote a book. He's a Winnipegger, okay? When Doug was a kid, him and his friends had an amazing childhood. And he wrote this book called My New Hero, Memories of the Rink Rats. And if you grew up in the 80s and 90s, or even if you didn't, but you and your friends were just hockey mad, or even just sports fans, this story that Doug tells about a complete happenstance encounter with the great one, number 99, Wayne Gretzky, and a 45-minute walk from the rink to Gretzky's hotel is kind of the catalyst of an amazing story and a friendship and camaraderie, as you see on your screen there, forged lifelong bonds. This book looks so cool. I am digging into it this weekend, and Doug has these books for sale on Amazon. It's got entirely all 5-star reviews on Amazon. Like 15 reviews on Amazon. They're all 5 stars. You got to check it out. Link is in the description below. My New Hero, Memories of the Rink Rats by Doug Savage and John Davidson. You got to check this book out. I am so freaking pumped to read it. Again, link in the description below, whether you're watching on Facebook or YouTube or wherever. You can find it there. But I'm going to put it out on my social media tomorrow. And I really encourage you guys to check it out. Like, it's Thanksgiving this weekend. Like, you got to start thinking about Christmas presents for people. This would be an amazing one.
Mm-hmm. Sounds like a great book.
Yeah. Game balls. Brandon Rodriguez. I guess he didn't mind too much that I called him B-Rod, because he's back in the comments. Game ball to Tony Jones. Yeah. I second that. Who you got, Schnitzy?
Yep. Well, I got one from the Argos because they won, Darren. So they deserve a game ball. Wynton McManus.
You're giving a game ball to the Argos.
I'm giving one to the Argos. Wynton McManus, the middle linebacker for the Argos. The Argos have the best run defense in the CFL. And they held Brady to, I believe, about 5.3 yards per carry, which is below his average of 5.8. And I think that they kept him in check. They stuffed the Bombers on a couple second and shorts in the first half, which killed the drives. Wynton McManus was right there, and I thought he played a great game. It's a good defense the Argos have. Let's not mince words about it. So I think he deserves a game ball. I think Tony Jones deserves a game ball. I think the Winnipeg's defense kept them in this game. They only allowed 14 points, 9 tackles, 2 knockdowns for Tony Jones. He whiffed on a tackle in the first quarter, which extended an Argos drive, which ended up in a touchdown. But
Sure.
the other team gets paid too, right? That's Kadeem Carey, who's very shifty, who he missed on. And then my last game ball goes to Kenny Lawler, Darren.
Mm.
Kenny Lawler was 6 of 7 for 108 yards with a large 49, a big first half pass completion. He drew the PI, which allowed the Bombers to get within 1 score at the end of the game with a Terry Wilson
Mhm.
rushing touchdown. And Kenny Lawler had 3 second down conversions, which is massive, absolutely massive. So I thought Kenny Lawler was excellent, and I thought he really, when you showed that highlight, Darren, I thought he really sold that PI call, because that ball looked like it was almost going out of bounds there.
Well,
And
it's Kenny Lawler. You never put it past him, right? He could probably pull it in.
yeah, for sure. I
Yep.
just thought I
Yeah.
thought he sold it well, and that's a skill, right? Like, that's not cheating. That's selling it, right?
Here's Kenny Lawler's 49-yard catch in the second quarter that really highlighted his day. He's I said it earlier. He's really elevated his game over the last month of the season. Um, it's incredible how well he's playing right now, and he's the target that Zach Collaros needs. When you've got, you know, Dembski kind of drawing things across the middle, drawing a lot of that pressure. You have Wilson and Wheatfall younger. To have a veteran like Kenny Lawler in the absence of Dalton Schoen, um, I think is an incredible thing. Speaking of my new hero, the book, here he is. This is Doug in the live chat. What's going on, Doug?
What's up,
Says
Doug?
with a double bye, Collaros might potentially need to play a full game if the Bombers get the first. He plays half. If the Bombers get first place, he'll get a half. So there's Doug. You can find him on YouTube right there at My New Hero. And again, his book, My New Hero, Memories of the Rink Rats, is available now on Amazon. Again, link in the description below. Somebody was saying they wanted to see the Neil Pionk hip check on Connor Bedard tonight. There it is. Whoop. Early in the first period. This was all over social media tonight. It was a pretty, he drew a little attention. From, I'm not sure if it was Kershev or, who it was, but didn't like that hit too much from Neil Pionk. But what a crazy game following Winnipeg's 6-0 win on the other night in Edmonton in their first game of the season, to follow it up with a 2-1 comeback win tonight against the Blackhawks, a much more veteran Blackhawks team. I was in the Blackhawks locker room this morning, Schnitzy, and just looking around, like, they got a bunch of dudes that have been in the league a long time now. Last year they were so young. This Central Division is going to be really good, really, really good this season. Jets look good though. Jets look fast. I'll say that. Those are all your game balls.
Hey, I got 3 game balls. I gave them out, buddy.
You don't want to give one to Shife the Knife tonight, or what?
You know how I don't know. I you know how I feel about hockey. I used to be so into the Jets, especially when my dad was around.
Yep.
I, I would live and die with every game. I'm not even sure why in the last few years. Probably a number of factors. Having young kids, and maybe being disappointed by the Jets and in the playoffs, and maybe by the character of that locker room a little bit. How Paul Maurice quit on the team. There's some character things there for me that I think have contributed. But I just don't have that same. I follow them. Don't get me wrong, but I don't have that same passion for the Jets that I do the
Well,
Bombers,
it's
and
because your passion for the Bombers is just like otherworldly.
it
That's
it
really it.
is. It is, but I think I want to write an article about this. I think there's a lot of reasons why football is a much superior spectator sport than hockey. I would
Live,
argue.
live. I think football, it's like you play one game a week and
Yeah.
you play one home game every 2 weeks on average, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of more of an event. It's more of like a special event.
Yeah.
Where hockey, like you can play 3 home games in 5 days, you know?
Exactly. That's a big
Um,
reason.
yeah. So, not that that happens too often, more like 6 days, but, um, yeah, I mean, they'll play 5 games, 3 games in 5 days, on the road, but you're not going to play the same team twice
Yeah,
or play a back to back at home against two different teams.
yeah,
Doesn't
the
happen
the
too often.
stakes are so high in football because you have fewer games, especially fewer home games. You're outdoors, right? So you can really let loose. You can influence the game as a fan in a way you can't in hockey, right? If the opposing offense is on the field, you can
Shoot,
scream and
shoot.
yell. Yeah, I suppose. Shoot the puck. Yeah. At one point, I was screaming, run the ball," and they had like a 20-yard pass to
Were you
Kenny
barking
Lawler.
with Brady running tonight
I
or what?
tried. I did a bark. I went, "Oh, yeah," but I don't know if
Oh,
that's gonna take. We'll see.
oh, it'll take.
I'm trying. I'm trying to start trends here, Darren, but
Yeah,
I don't know if they're taking. But that's okay. I'll keep trying.
yeah.
I
Well, so
will.
there, so there you go. Here, I
It's
figured it out.
adversity. I will build through adversity. I can't believe I said build adversity. Oh my god.
It was Pat Maroon. Speaking of veterans now inside
Pat
that
Maroon's
Blackhawks
still
ring,
playing?
Pat
What a
Maroon
maroon.
is the
What
one
a
who had
maroon.
words for Neil Pionk after this hip check.
What's wrong with a hip check? Is that illegal now?
Nothing, but it's hockey. It's kind of the code when you lay a big hit on a premier player like Connor Bedard. You're just gonna go be like, hey, you do that again, I'm gonna put my stick in your face or whatever.
What is
They
he,
probably
Marty
don't say that. They
McSorley?
probably say
The
something
80s? Come on.
a little nastier than that. But real nice hip check from Pionk. Real
Takes him
nice
out
hip
of the
check.
play. What? Oh, yeah, that's a good play.
Yeah, I liked it. I liked it. It's a nice thing to see. Jets play Minnesota on Sunday. Bombers are off now for a bye week. And
God, I got to sit with this crap game for 2 weeks. Oh my
how do you think
God.
they feel?
Yeah,
Hmm?
I'm sure. I'm sure they feel 10
Yeah.
times worse than I do.
Yeah. But you know what, Schnitzy? In no time, in absolutely no time at all, you're going to see this. I saved this just for you. This is going to likely play host to the West Final in 3 weeks' time. Isn't that beautiful? That stadium? I just can't get enough of
It's
that drone
beautiful.
shot by TSN. See the river in the background? Beautiful. I love it. I love it. Great job tonight, Schnitzy. I had fun. Even though the Bombers lost 14-11 to the Argos again, 8-game win streak
Yeah.
bookended by losses, tough single score field goal distance losses to the Argos.
Awful.
Yeah.
Awful. So disappointing. So disappointing.
Yeah, that's the way it goes. Anyway, I really appreciate everybody for joining us on a busy sports day in Winnipeg. I'm sorry. Hey, there's some thumbs up. Got a thumbs down. That's cool too. Hit that thumbs up. We appreciate it a lot. Check out the book, My New Hero, Memories of the Rink Rats. Link in the description below. I'm going to share it on my social media in the coming, probably tomorrow. And I'm going to read this book this weekend too. I'm really looking forward to it. Hey, and there he is, the author of My New Hero, Memories of the Rink Rats, Doug Savage. Great show, guys. Hey, I'm looking forward to your book. I have a feeling I'm going to be saying great book, like all 15 of your absolutely perfect 5-star reviews on Amazon. A Winnipeg guy writing about a Winnipeg hockey story, Wayne Gretzky, a chance encounter, and a lifelong series of events that all came out of that. Super, super cool. I mean, I'm a football guy. I'm going to be watching football on this weekend. I'm going to be covering the Jets in the Wild for NHL.com on Sunday, and I'm going to be reading this book. So it's going to be a busy weekend for me. And I imagine for you too, Schnitzy. Happy Thanksgiving.
You too, buddy. And to all our listeners out there, happy Thanksgiving. Be thankful. It's good for your mental health.
Yeah, and Matt Hyman has a message for you. Good Yom Tov.
Thank you, Matt. I'm going to Yom Kippur service tomorrow at the gates with my family. We'll see how long that lasts with my 4-year-old son, but we'll try. That's all we can do is try.
Yeah. People want to know what your Gardewine prize was.
Oh, so I got a Gardewine hat. I don't even know what Gardewine is. Is it a?
I think it's a shipping company. Don't they do like trucking?
I had a Gardewine hat. I got a Gardewine travel mug, and then I got $100 gift card to the Bomber store because, of course, I need more Bomber stuff, Darrin.
Well, you can start early on your Christmas shopping.
Hanukkah shopping. Hanukkah shopping.
Aren't you going to buy me a Christmas present?
Are you going to buy me a Hanukkah present? Come on.
Absolutely.
You didn't get me one last year.
I'm going to get you a dreidel and some unleavened bread.
No, that's for Passover. Come on. Come on.
I learned a little bit of the Jewish tradition and faith, a little bit like a past life, you could say. But
yeah, unleavened bread, though, that's a good reference to matzah.
Yeah. Dreidel.
I had a little dreidel. I made it out of clay. Yeah.
This is all I know.
It's catchy.
Hanukkah gets like the reference because it's like at the same time as Christmas, right? 8 Crazy Nights. Is it 8 Crazy Nights?
Yeah.
But it's like the third best Jewish holiday. Like it's not even in the realm
Hanukkah's
of Christmas.
Even way down there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hanukkah, like before all the gifts and Christmas stuff, like we just stole presents from Christmas. Like there was never ever presents associated with Hanukkah. Hanukkah was a minor holiday. Come on.
It is a minor holiday.
It's very minor,
all due respect.
But not for kids. Not for kids.
Chris Joyle says you could throw all that stuff into a contest on the Bonfire Sports channel if you don't want the gear. I will do you one better, Schnitzy. I've got 2 bobbleheads. Okay. I've got an autographed Zach Collaros bobblehead, and I've got an autographed Willie Jefferson bobblehead. Personally autographed. I was right there when they signed the things. I said, I am giving these away on Bonfire Sports. And they said, that's awesome. And Willie Jefferson said something else that I'll keep to myself. But I absolutely love that guy. We got to find a way to give these away. Maybe during the bye week. Maybe ahead of the playoffs. So we got to think about that. But out there, if you want to be eligible for these, you're definitely going to have to be subscribed. You're definitely going to have to follow Bonfire WPG on Twitter X, on Instagram, on Facebook. If you're on those, follow and hit the thumbs up. It'll probably help your. It'll give you a little kismet, a little bit of karma.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, Schnitzy. Great show. You know how we wrap it up.
I do know with my special rhyme, and I'll say this, Darrin. The Bombers lost a very close game, and Chad Kelly, for shame, for shame. Sayonara, everybody.